And this is Kyle Hunter.
And we have a guest today, Mr. Lee Sterling from Paramount Sports. You can follow him on Twitter at Paramount Sports. I've had Lee on the Odds Breakers a few times. Lee, how you doing, my man? We have a huge game coming up, huh?
Ready, calm before the eye of the storm. What's amazing is I do get, some new people, but not a whole lot to come on where they usually have been with me the entire year or at the latest join, usually before the bowl season. But it's amazing how important it is. And I've had an incredible run from the start of the Bowls, maybe one of the best ever, to coming up to the Super Bowl, 26-9 run in the football. But you lose the Super Bowl, it can hurt your signups for next year by 15, 20%. It's amazing. I've had people literally, I think my fourth year ever in the business, this was my 28th year. I think it was the only year I ever hit above 60%. Hit like 62.8%. I literally almost every weekend would go 8-4, 10-5, 10-6. I lost the Super Bowl, and I only had, I had 25% of the people dropped out. Never signed up again. Most of them.
That's memory. Well, these people don't do bankroll management. They probably put it all on the game and realize this is just a drop in the bucket. As much as we try to tell them, it's there's sharper lines out there, isn't there?
Well, that and also they could have been working else. They're probably working with someone else and betting on their own, and they probably don't keep real good records.
Yeah, that's very true too. And it's consistency from a long-term standpoint is what you're looking for in your handicappers, and I think we know that pretty well. But you know what? I think there's a lot of different little markets within this Super Bowl that we can also take a look at that you both know, right. And that's what's going to make this whole thing so much fun. And I'm real excited for it. But we also have college basketball coming up this weekend, and this Saturday has no football, so I think there's going to be a little bit bigger of a handle on the college hoops. And Lee, you've done an amazing job. I think at this time last year I had you on, and you were killing it. So real excited for some of your takes on some of these big games. But first, we got to get into the Super Bowl, baby. So from the get-go, I'll start with you, Kyle. You're looking at a juice 3, and it's getting a little bit down. It's more towards the 3-point, maybe 1. I mean, you're looking at juice of only minus 115 here, and I'm wondering where this line's going to go. But is the side correct for where Vegas has the line, and is the total correct around 56?
Yeah, as far as this line, I think, at a 3, I think it's a very fair price because if you go to 3.5, a lot of people are going to take Tom Brady and Tampa Bay, but you can't go less than 3 because Kansas City's proven themselves so many times before. So I think this line is about what it will stay at. It's about what it has to be. As far as the total, 56, I know this came down a bit from the 57. And I don't like to get in the habit of betting over 56 in the NFL. At the same time, I can't take the under in this game. I think that we saw from the first game between these two, Kansas City and Tampa Bay, Kansas City moved the ball extremely easily. I don't think that Tampa Bay is just automatically now going to be able to stop them. The question is, what's Tampa Bay going to do on offense? And I think Tampa Bay's offense is clearly better than they were a few weeks ago. Tampa Bay is improving quite a bit offensively week by week here. I think as long as this stays a close game, it has a real chance of going over the total. So my strongest lean here early on is over 56. Let's see what happens with this total. I wonder if we're going to get any sharp action that comes in on the under to get us below 56. I don't know. We'll see what you guys think as far as what this total will do here going forward. But I think the side's right about where it should be at -3.
All right. Well, Lee, what do you think about the side and the total here?
So I think you're going to see a little movement back and forth. Maybe two or three more times over the next 4 or 5 days, maybe even up until Saturday, where it's going to go up to 3.5, and then the resistance is going to come back down. I think at 3, a lot of people are going to bet Kansas City. I think you're going to see 65, 68% of the money on Kansas City. And then if you move it up to 3.5, you're going to hit Tampa Bay. 65%, 70% of the money is going to hit Tampa Bay. So that's going to be interesting. I don't think it will ever go below 3. because then the books could possibly take a huge hit. So there's been a couple Super Bowls. I think the Green Bay Super Bowl against New England was 14, and I know some people were playing it back and forth. I remember that. 13 and a half, 14 and a half, and they got in. And then the other one was St. Louis, and it was the St. Louis Rams and the Tennessee Titans. And that was seven. A few people. It stayed pretty much seven, but I know there were some people that bounced with 6.5, 7.5. So three is the big number there is out there. And I think the total, if anything, is going to go up to about 56 and a half, 57. I don't see it going below 56.
All right, man. And I was curious about how much public money is going to really influence that total. Everyone wants to see this thing go over. I mean, the last two playoff games did go over, but the divisional week, 3 of the 4 games went under, and that Rams one barely went over. It took all the way to the end of that game. So it's going to be an interesting narrative from that standpoint. For me, I made the game 3.25 based on Tampa having a 0.5 home field advantage, 0.5 points. And I don't even know what's right there because this is the Super Bowl, and Tampa happened to suck this year at home. A lot more of their yards actually were in away games, and same with Kansas City. I mean, I would be almost tempted just because of this whole year sample size, because Kansas City's better on the road, to maybe make it even or even give a nudge to Kansas City here. You know, everyone's remembering that last game, though, where Patrick Mahomes had a ton of passing yards, and Tyreek Hill had 200 yards that first quarter. So for me, I don't have a side yet. I mean, I'm kind of just watching this thing, having fun, eating some popcorn. You know, this thing gets down to 3, a flat 3. I'm probably going to hammer KC. You know, if it goes to a 3.5 for some reason, I'm definitely going to see resistance. And if it's a clean 3.5, I'd be considered take Tampa just so I can get you know. So it's fun.
I think that's how the public and like I said, even the sharps are going to look at this game.
All right, well, good stuff. Well, speaking of Tyreek Hill, there's a prop market here, and the prop market for me is the funnest thing in the whole Super Bowl. It's almost like you're narrating a whole story, you know. You start from the beginning. Some people bet the coin toss. You talk about what the first score in the game is going to be. You talk about the first touchdown scorer. You know, you go into the derivative markets with the quarters and the halves, and then obviously your players are getting yards or they're not getting yards, they're getting touchdowns or they're not. It makes it so exciting to narrate your own story when it comes to this. But have you guys got a chance to look at some of the props that are just kind of filtering in now? And I'll start with Lee.
Yeah, so there's a couple that I like. I like to take a shot. Everyone loves to play who's going to score the first touchdown.
Right.
So that's something I normally look at. But this year, you know what? I think it's so up in the air. I'm going to stay away from that. I'm going to look more at the MVP. So everyone's going to look at betting Brady or Mahomes. That's where probably 80 to 90% of the money will go. But remember this. For the last 20 MVP winners have been defensive players. Mm-hmm. And if you get maybe a player who has 2-3 sacks in a game, or someone gets a scoop and run for a touchdown, and it's the difference, and then has another sack, or a player has 2 interceptions in the game, and the play is pretty even. Let's say it's a similar score to the last time, 27-24. Each quarterback scores 1 or 2 touchdowns. I think there's a chance we could see a defensive player win it. So I'm not going to bet Brady or Mahomes. I'm looking at 2 players. Daniel Sorensen for Kansas City. 5 interceptions the last 2 years. He likes to jump routes. He plays a lot of times to play the slot receiver. He's not real good covering them over the middle, but when they break out on the outside, he takes shots. He likes to cut in front, and if he does, let's say he takes one to the house or has 2 interceptions, he also plays deep. And let's say, if it's the last play before the half, he's really good going up. He's a big, strong guy. Maybe catching a Hail Mary. So I like Daniel Sorensen at 100 to 1.
That's a huge payout right there if you hit that. Yeah. And I think the last one to win that was Von Miller, right? Am I right about that? So
Right.
So why not make it extra fun and take a big shot on that? So I'm kind of I'm liking what you're thinking.
I'm going a lot there. At 100 to 1. Everyone's going to play the honey badger, Herman Matthew, because he's more the high profile game, and he has about the same amount of interceptions. I think he might have one more over the last year. 5 over 2 years, and he's actually dropped a couple, come even real close on a few others. So then I'm going to take a shot at Jason Pierre-Paul. The reason I like him, he's already won a Super Bowl. I don't think he's going to be caught up in the moment. He had 11 and a half sacks this year. I think he had 9.5 last year, only 10 games. I think his game is still there. With the Kansas City depleted offensive line, without two tackles, he could have 2-3 sacks. He is really good at really sifting the ball away from the quarterback if he's going down with the ball and stealing it and running for a touchdown. So he's 66 to 1. Those are the two guys that I'm playing there. And then another one I like the under in total pass attempts for Tom Brady. It's at 39.5. First game they played, only 13 rush attempts for Tampa Bay. They fell behind 17-0 first quarter. Still only threw the ball 41 times. They realized that's not the recipe to win this game. You look at the games where they had the most success, 29 to 35 pass attempts. I think 39.5 is a little high. So I'm going to take the under there. I think it's like plus 105 too.
Wow, that's not a bad idea because even if they're behind, Kansas City might be able to control the clock and just get those, third down conversions to run, pounding the ball, which isn't even going to give Brady a time to come back in the game. Right. So that's some interesting thinking right there.
I really going to run the football. They only ran it 13 times. I mean, I think they realized that they were behind by so much, and their running game is clicking. They got both guys healthy. The first playoff game that Jones came back, he was not healthy. If you watched him closely, didn't have the acceleration. I think he's close to getting it back after week. So those two guys, he and Fournette, I think they're going to have some success against Kansas City.
All right. Well, Kyle, have you delved into the prop market as of yet?
A little bit, and I will say I like Lee's thoughts there on the under on Tom Brady's pass attempts, because Tampa Bay should come into this one knowing that they don't want him to throw it constantly here. The way to beat Kansas City is to beat them via the run, and you don't want Patrick Mahomes getting any more chances than he has to have here. So I like those thoughts. I will say I like Travis Kelce receiving yards over a bit here in this one. Hill had such a big game in the first one that I think that they have to game plan some for Hill more in this game. You would think that they would do a better job on Hill than they did in the first game, right? I mean, they have to do better than they did in the first game. But I think Kelce is really the X factor a lot of times for the Chiefs offense. So I like Kelce rushing or receiving yards over. And one more that I like, which is kind of what Lee was talking about there a minute ago, is I like, and I don't know if there's a number on it right now. You can tell me if you've seen one, but I like Tampa Bay sacks over. I think they're going to be able to get quite a bit of pressure on Patrick Mahomes here. Now, Mahomes can beat the pressure. He's proven that time and time again. But the offensive line does concern me about Kansas City. I lean to Kansas City a bit in this game as far as taking sides. I do worry about whether Kansas City is going to be able to have good pass protection in this game, and I think Tampa Bay will bring a decent amount of pressure in this game based on the Kansas City offensive line. So the two that I like so far are Kelce receiving yards over and Tampa Bay sacks over the number.
All right, that's some great stuff there, guys. I actually looking at a few myself, but I'll start out with what I like to play every single year, and I like to play the first score as a field goal. When it comes to these big games, you're getting plus 400 on the Kansas City side, and you're getting plus 500 on the Tampa side. And obviously, you take away 100 because you're making two plays there. Well, a couple years ago, I figured out the correct number you're supposed to put on first field goal is plus 160. So add that together, it's plus 320. But I think in such a big game, the last thing these quarterbacks want to do is make that stupid interception in the red zone in the first quarter, really changing the momentum of the game. Plus, if you've noticed, Tampa's red zone defense has been better in the playoffs. Look at what they did against the Packers. And Kansas City's red zone defense was the worst during the year, but they weren't serious during the year. I mean, when it comes to playoff times, they really stuck it to Buffalo. It only takes one 10-yard penalty, one holding call that maybe the officials want to set the tone, being like, you can't be holding all game. They sometimes like to do that. So I think there's a little bit of value on taking that. And obviously, plus 400, plus 300 hits, that's looking pretty good. The other one that I want to give out for free is a couple first touchdown scorer, meaning the quarterback would have to either run it in, you can't count a pass. But you're looking at Edwards-Helaire. He should be healthy by the time of the Super Bowl, and he's a running back, and you're getting plus 1,300 with him right now. Well, that's what I took yesterday anyway. I mean, for a running back, that's really good odds, and I can see him being the bell cow, being that he was the lead back all year. Plus 300, not looking bad. And if you want to play the other side of that, Evans, he has way more touchdowns than any other Tampa Bay receiver or running back, really. He's got 13 touchdowns. He's Brady's favorite target. You're getting plus 1,000 on Evans. Those are the most common first scorers that I can think of that have the value. Obviously, Ronald Jones can destroy me. If you want to throw a little bit on Fournette, you're getting plus 1,000 too. But, those three really stuck out to me. And I'm also going to be taking a few of the longer shots here at a smaller bet that would pay out a lot for our premium subscribers at the Odds Breakers, guys. Before we transition on, I forgot to ask, are there any trends that we should be looking at, Kyle, for the Super Bowl?
The Super Bowl, obviously there's only been so many games, so it's kind of hard to get too much of a trend sample size that matters too much. So I don't really have anything here on the Super Bowl that really stands out.
How about you, Lee? Did anything stand out for you? I think it might be a little windy. I don't know.
Not really. We'll check the weather once we get closer to the game. But the weather's pretty good in Tampa in early February, so I don't think that's going to be a factor. And it's just this might be the greatest quarterback matchup we've ever seen. Now we've had some good ones, but you have the Tom Brady against the young gun who already has a Super Bowl win, has won 26 of the last 27 games. So I don't think there's any real big advantage. I can tell you this much. I rate my game from 10 to 50 units. It's not going to be a 35, 40, or 45 unit play. It'll be in the 20 to 25 unit range.
As it should. And just to tell you listeners out there, if you haven't played any prop markets, if you like someone on the over, first of all, be careful about that and take it now, because there's going to be such a big handle on this that the wrong side is going to be the over eventually. The right side's going to be the under, because nobody's betting under. Nobody wants to see Godwin not get any yards. Nobody wants to see Hardman not get any yards, right? Everyone wants to see everyone with yards. So pick your overs carefully and then come back on the unders later. I think that's the smartest way to be playing this Super Bowl. Well, let's move on to a little college basketball then, Lee and Kyle. This is more Lee wanting to talk about this game. And actually, I love the Big Ten. And I'm glad you picked this one out, Lee, because I was playing Illinois tonight. I wrote this as pick'em, but shocking to see, Illinois is actually already up to 2.5. The total on this is 162. I'm going to let you go first, Lee. Let us know if you have any thoughts on this big game.
I do, and I thought the line should be made about a pick'em, like you, and even though Illinois might be more talented and might have guys do more in the NBA, I just think they like to play that wide open style, and they have better athletes. But sometimes having better athletes and individual players doesn't mean you're a better team. Now, the only thing that concerns me is Iowa's defense. They don't play much. It's the Olay defense. Sometimes they like to score, so they get the ball back. It seems like to rush down the other end of the court. But they've fared better also against teams with a winning percentage. Has Iowa? They're 8-3 against the spread the last 11 games from facing teams with a plus 600 winning percentage, and conversely, Illinois 2-5 against the spread in home games versus teams with a winning record. So just think that both teams have not played real well of late, especially Illinois. Two, I wouldn't say horrible losses, but games they should have won against Maryland and Ohio State. I just think they can't beat elite teams, whereas Iowa, they lost to Indiana, 81-69. They shot 38% that game, 38.1%. But the three previous games, they shot 57, 53, and 55%. I think they shoot 52%. They're winning the game here. So I like Iowa plus 2.5.
Kyle, any strong takes on this side or total on this game?
I'm a bit surprised that Iowa is catching as many points as they are here. I think we all are. Illinois is a very high quality team. I think they do have a high upside. Kiev and I talked about them a little bit before the season, thinking that Illinois is a team that has a high ceiling as far as where they could go at the end of this season. They haven't quite played as well as I thought they would in general. Iowa's been pretty consistently good. Obviously, their offense is tremendous. This total is 161.5. But I'm telling you, it's 161.5 for a reason. My numbers are a little bit higher than that. So I lean to the over in this game. It's hard for me to bet over 161.5, and I haven't bet this game. As far as what I would do with this game, I'm not going to have any pregame position in this one. But if we see a slump at the beginning where they can't score, but they're still playing quick, I'd take a live over in a game like this because I do think Iowa and Illinois score plenty of points in this game, back and forth. As Lee said, Iowa's offense is tremendous. Iowa's defense, not good. Illinois, very good on the offensive glass. And I think that could matter quite a bit here, too. We could see Coburn getting quite a few putbacks in a game like this, and obviously Garza is going to do great work down in the post for Iowa. So I see quite a few points in this game myself.
All right, my man. Well, I got to tell you, you mentioned Coffee Cockburn, and he's going to be going against Luka Garza, which is obviously the best matchup in this game to watch. I cannot wait to watch these guys because Luka's probably, or he's claimed to be, from many people, the best center in the game, if not just in the Big Ten. And Coffee Cockburn knows that. He knows all the play he's getting. One thing I will say about Illinois that I was wrong about is that their forwards absolutely suck. And I did not know, and I'm sorry, I might be putting it too lightly, because Georgi Benzamishvili has not been living up to the hype that he did 3 years ago. It's almost like the guy's gotten worse, and they've had some injuries before the season to some of their taller guys. You look at Iowa's motion offense. That's how they attack. They're going to get Cockburn having to move around down in the paint, and that's where Iowa's going to capitalize because they have tall guards and they have some tall forwards over there. When Frederick went out last game against Indiana, they had a stinker, but it looks like Frederick might be playing, and Iowa's already a pretty deep team anyway. I mean, if I was Illinois, I would put Dosunmu at forward and just play Frazier and Miller in the guard positions because Dosunmu is at least 6'5" and can get some rebounds. But I don't like the way Illinois is being coached here, and losing Griffith and Hamlin before the season was really tough. Iowa's a regression candidate because they averaged 48.7% shooting, and last game they shot that terrible 38.1% versus Indiana. So I expect a big bounce back. I expect a lot of speed, and I expect Iowa to win this game outright and cover the spread. So this is a play for me and a free play that I'm giving out. I'm taking Iowa. So it sounds like we're in agreement, aren't we?
Sure.
Let's move on to a next one here. And this was a request from one of our handicappers, Chris Farley. I don't know if he's messing with us or if he just wants to get our take on this game, but it's Northern Colorado versus Northern Arizona, and the spread is at -5 right now for Northern Colorado. So Northern Arizona is a home dog, +5, total around 136. Can you believe that Northern Arizona, after all these games still, has not won at home this year? I mean, it's a little shocking to me because they have the elevation advantage over most of these other schools. I love the Lumberjacks. My wife went to this school. It's it's the most beautiful school in Arizona, I'm telling you. And it's so fun to go up there. Just such a great bunch of people and crowd up there. But Northern Colorado has a significant matchup advantage here in the three-point land. They shoot 37.3%, and NAU suffers on defense. They rank in the 330s, 340s defending the three, and I believe that ranked 350 out of all these teams. I think there's 357 teams in defense itself. I suppose I could be concerned about the backdrops are different, being on the road, but Northern Colorado shoots 44% on the road somehow. That's pretty good. And 33% at home from three. So from three-point land, they actually shoot better on the road. Last year, I know it was a different team. Northern Colorado won 84-54 at NAU. My pure numbers with the adjustments have Northern Colorado winning 72-66. So I'm only off the spread by a point here. I think it opened up at 4, and Northern Colorado got bad up a little bit. Probably something I'm not going to get involved in, but I have a strong lean to Northern Colorado. Have you guys got a chance to look at this one?
Yeah, I leaned to Northern Colorado in this one as well. I mean, I can't take Northern Arizona. You look at their defensive profile, it's terrible. Like you said, I mean, they can't defend the three, but they're giving up tons of layups as well. Everything right by the hoop. They're giving up 60% on 2-point shots so far this year. Just terrible. So this Northern Arizona team, like you said, you would think that they would be decent at home because they have the elevation, but Northern Colorado plays at elevation as well. So against Northern Colorado, they don't really have that edge that they would have against a team from California or something like that. So the only side I could take here would be Northern Colorado. You won't see me taking Northern Arizona plus the points. I'm not sure this one will make my card because it's a tough one. I don't know that I really want to lay a lot of points with Northern Colorado, but there's no way I could take Northern Arizona.
Well, the worry is the fact that they haven't won at home. Is this the game that they play out of their minds? I mean that would be my concern. Lee, any thoughts on this one?
Not really. I don't play teams based on the due to win theory. Yeah. I mean, through that, you're going to go broke. So I had no feel on this game. In fact, I think I've only played maybe one game on this conference for against the game. So just not a conference I know real well. And if I don't know something real well, just rather do something I have a better and stronger opinion on.
For sure. And yes, never play anything on the due to win theory. In the NFL, if someone hasn't won a game, then maybe that's when you look at it. But I mean, for the most part, maybe the trend continues where they stink at home. So good stuff there, guys. Let's go on to a bigger game on Saturday. We have Alabama versus Oklahoma. Oklahoma's +1. The total on this is 155. And I'll start first on this one, guys. Nate Oates, what a home run hire for Alabama. First, I want to say that. I mean, I was screaming for Wisconsin, my Badgers, to hire this guy, and they just want to get rid of Greg Gard. And Greg Gard's been okay, but I don't know. I get a little sick of the boring style myself. But, I mean, look at what he's doing in the SEC here. But in saying that, this is a really weird spot for them because they're nose deep in the SEC, trying to be undefeated. They're trying to win the SEC, and this is almost a distraction, this SEC Big 12 matchup, I would wonder if Alabama cares all that much about it. And, I mean, Alabama dominates in rebounds here, 3-point percentage, points per game, of course, how fast they play. Oklahoma leads in free throw percentage, assist to turnover ratio, and I think total free throws, but the only way I see this game, really, if I look at the conferences, Oklahoma's one of the top teams in the Big 12, but the Big 12 is stacked at the top, as you know, with Baylor there. I mean, they have Texas there, West Virginia, Texas Tech, I mean, you name it. And they're a much better conference than the SEC. So I think Oklahoma could do a little bit more damage here and use this as a big win than really Alabama cares to. But I'm not sure if I'm betting it, and at this number I probably won't, but I'm leaning Oklahoma for now. Lee, what are your thoughts on this one?
Probably not a game I'm going to give to my clients. I'm actually leaning the other way because of defense. So defense is about intensity, emotion. That's the question. We don't know if Alabama is going to bring it. I don't know the story. Was there a story why this game is being played right in the middle of conference play?
They've been doing it every year for the last, I don't know, at least 3 or 4 years. They put the Big 12 challenge with the SEC, and it's a total distraction. So that's why.
I mean, at least the ACC and the Big Ten do it early in the year.
Right.
So I mean, this game kind of reminds me. I think they stopped doing the mid-majors. Weren't they doing that?
Bracket buster.
Yeah, that was fun. I thought that was good. It was hard to handicap. It's a hard game to handicap. The edge here might might be that Alabama plays defense. Number 8 defense in the country. Oklahoma number 260 defense, perimeter defense. So if Alabama brings the intensity, I'm going to watch this game. I'll do probably some live betting on this game. If I see Alabama playing with intensity, even if they're trailing early, and missing some shots, I might play them. But just the game, I think it's too tough to play.
And this is an early game too, so when you guys wake up and get your coffee, it's going to be some exciting. And this game you want to watch because, I mean, look at Alabama. They score. Lots of fun for people that like points. But I don't know if Kyle likes points. So let's hear what Kyle has to say about this game.
Yeah, I have to say, Kiev knows this. I'm usually kind of Mr. Under. I play a lot of unders, and I feel like the last few that we've talked about here, I've been saying the over, but again, I like Alabama and Oklahoma over the total. Now, if you go back the last few seasons, this Big 12 and SEC challenge, it's one of those non-conference games late in the season, which, as you guys said, doesn't really make very much sense. But those games have gone over the total at a very high clip. I'm almost sure you're going to see money on overs in these Big 12 SEC challenge games. So if you want the over, you probably want to play it early. In this game, I think the over is the way I would look to play this game. As I'm looking at this one, both of these teams are very good at getting the steal and quick breakaway points. The opposition not great at allowing that to happen. They do allow that to happen too often, I would say. So I think we're going to see a lot of transition points in this one. Alabama definitely wants to run here. Like Lee said, Alabama has the better defense, certainly. Nate Oates has done an amazing job. I mean, I've liked him for a long time, like you, Kiev, and I think that Alabama is taking this leap a little bit faster than anybody thought they would, right? Like, I think everybody thought they'd get better, but they're better faster than they were supposed to be. You know, to your counterpoint to what Kiev said, I will say I don't think this is a great spot for Oklahoma either. You know, you look at what Oklahoma's done here lately. They won that huge game against Kansas at home. Then they go to Texas and win on the road. 2 days after this game, they play at Texas Tech on Monday night. So you could argue that this game doesn't mean as much to them as what those other games would mean. So I think that being the case, that you wonder if either team would be as invested. That's a good case for the over as well.
And you know, Kyle, what's keeping me off the Oklahoma side is not only that, but if you watch that Texas game, they got 34 free throws against Texas. I mean, the refs were, for some reason, calling a penalty when they were looked at the wrong way. And to be honest with you, I thought it was shaded towards Oklahoma that game, and I thought Texas was definitely the better team. So maybe the over is a look. And especially at 155, an Alabama game, an Oklahoma team that you know is going to score points. So I think it might be a little shy at 155. I hope it gets hit a little bit lower, and I might be a player on that myself. Let's move on to the next game then, guys. We have Virginia versus Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech should be a home dog of about 3 points, and the total I written down here is probably going to be around 123. Kyle, why don't you go first on this one?
Yeah, so Virginia unders have done really well for many years. I will say I think this Virginia team's a little bit different than some of those other Virginia teams. You look at effective field goal percentage offense, they're fourth this year, and as far as effective field goal percentage defense, they're 84th. So they still play really slow, but they're not as good on defense as they've been, and they're better at offense. The question is, Virginia Tech is shorthanded. We know that Virginia Tech's going to be without a couple key players in this game. So what do we make of Virginia Tech getting this game at home against their rival, but they're shorthanded? You know, I don't know what to take on a side here. To be honest, I don't know that I'll take anything in this game, but if I had to take something, I think I would take the over again. You know, everybody wants to bet a Virginia under, so maybe this game gets bet down. I think my numbers have this a little bit higher than 123. I have 124 and a half. So as far as this game, I'm going to lean to the over. I don't know what this total will come at. Usually those low numbers get bet up, but Virginia games not the same usually because people want to bet Virginia under. So don't have any strong thoughts on this one myself.
How about you, Lee? Have you got a chance to look at this one?
Yeah, I did actually favor Virginia Tech. What's interesting this year is we've seen teams that have missed key players, or even multiple key players, in college, they just seem to win and cover. I mean, it's crazy. And you would think also, with these also not in this game. This game doesn't concern this game. You would think back to back. Usually, the team that loses the first game is going to come back and win the second or cover the second game. And more chances than not it has. So what we're finding out is these college kids can probably overcome a little more than we give credit for. And I just think that Virginia Tech at home is a different animal. And to think that they played a little more quality teams. I think by playing Villanova early, I think helps them. And they beat Villanova. I don't think Virginia has that quality win. I don't think Virginia, even though they have a better record and the better conference record, I don't think they've been tested as much. So one game, if it was 2 out of 3, I'd maybe look at Virginia. But one game, I think Virginia Tech at home is the way to go. Interesting sidebar. The center for Virginia Huff. He got married over the summer, and his wife's brother goes to Virginia Tech. So he'll be rooting against his new brother-in-law. So if you see someone rooting extra hard, it's probably Huff's brother-in-law. It'd be funny if he ended up taunting him. But I think Virginia Tech's probably the right side by a little bit here, taking the three.
A little sibling rivalry here going on, so that's interesting. Well, maybe you get a 3.5 because I can see the public, being on Virginia here. I'm going to disagree a little bit with Kyle on this one, and I think with these two teams, look in the last 2 years or last year, I mean. Both of these totals went pretty low, 109 points and 104 points. And I know Buzz Williams is gone, but they're still playing a little bit slower there at Virginia Tech. And I think these guys want to get into the longest pissing match. Who can hold the ball the longest without taking a shot? Beat them at your own game. But, I mean, that's kind of how it's played out. My pure numbers have it 62-59, just based on pure numbers. I like the angles Lee talked about, though. My lean would be to Virginia Tech, and I would definitely hope that you can get above a 3, and I think you will. If you want to bet Virginia Tech, I would wait on it. But if this total actually gets to 124 or larger, I might be a player on that under. And, maybe you'll get something like 22-23 at half or something nice like that. And you can always come back on the over and try to middle if that ever happens. One thing I will say is, the team that really sped up Virginia was Gonzaga, I believe. And, they were able to take advantage of them. So you wonder if Virginia Tech's got that.
I don't think Virginia Tech well. The reason I don't think Virginia, their second league scores out.
Okay.
And you said 23, 22. We might see like a 19, 15. I mean, we've seen some really ugly. This year more than any other year. I'm watching the games last night. And I'm watching the Heat and the Clippers. I mean, if you're a fan, if you're a pure basketball fan. Yeah, I think you feel deprived. I mean, as a better, I don't care. I'm looking for an angle, but more and more guys are sitting out now. COVID, like the Clippers were without Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and Beverly last night. Heat was without Butler, and like three other key players. And you're watching, it's like a scrimmage. There's no atmosphere. I've never seen worse free throw shooting, worse 3-point shooting, more turnovers, and even coaching. I don't think the coaching has been as good. The coach, I don't know if you know this, but a lot of the coaches are going with key words now. They don't want to tell you, hey, guard this. Usually you're on court, and his players can usually hear the coach.
Right.
So going like almost in I wouldn't say sign language, but they're going with keywords and stuff, and instead of just numbers on offense or trying some different things, because both coaches can hear the other coach now. So it's an back and forth thing going on, and then I think the lower level teams, like I was watching Oregon State and USC and Cal and Arizona State last night. It's bad. It's bad. I've never seen worse fundamentals. Like I said, worse free throw shooting. I mean, and then it seems like once you get to the end of the game, every time a team is down by 1 or 2 points, it's like they automatically shoot a three-pointer.
It's unreal. If you want to see talent without fundamentals, look to Duke, Kansas, and Kentucky this year. I mean, they're awful. Just mid-range teams have it more together than them. Duke's not exactly in the NCAA tournament yet.
Right.
Kansas is struggling, and Kentucky is out of it right now, and they better do something big if they want to get back in. So great points there. Yeah, we're not, out of these bigger teams, we're not seeing great basketball, and as a sports bettor, I kind of like seeing that.
Here's what I think it's the product of. They didn't finish the year last year, college basketball or the NBA. A lot of players, college basketball and the NBA, were coming out of high school. Really, they didn't have gyms to work out in. And weren't playing in summer tournaments. And the practices now, they can't have simulated scrimmages a lot of times. They have to have guys working out in pods. And I think we're seeing because of all those situations, I think it's led to really some haphazard play.
Yeah, I agree with you. Absolutely. Kyle, anything quick on that?
Yeah, Kiev, I have to, as we're talking about ugly basketball, I have to give a shout out to that last game last night. Fresno State and New Mexico. Both of us had the under in that game. It did win, even with the overtime. It's some of the ugliest basketball I've seen in my entire life. I mean, definitely neither team deserved to win that game. They're fouling on purpose in a tie game. They're throwing full court passes when they're winning by a point with 5 seconds left. I mean, just terrible basketball. I'm glad the under got there, but man, as Lee was saying, some ugly basketball, and that, I think that's the ugliest game I've seen all year.
Fresno versus New Mexico was terrible. You might have been watching Chicago State versus Fordham or something like that. So I agree with you there.
And one more point there. There's some teams out there, and I've never even heard of. Because of COVID, some of these schools that I've never heard of college, and there's about 15 of them. I've never heard of them. They're playing games not just early in the season. They're playing right now in the middle of the season. If a team loses the game, they're slipping them in there. Let's say I saw Northern Iowa was playing a school I've never heard of. They probably lost a couple games, lost opponents, and they found a small school somewhere in Iowa. And sometimes there's lines, sometimes there's not, and I don't think it helps these teams, especially in the middle of the season, when you're playing a team like that, you win by 30 or 40 points.
Yeah. No, it's definitely not. And these are blowouts. It's almost like they got a couple of kids in geology class together to go play some basketball or something.
Geography. I'm looking up some of these schools to find out where they are. There's some schools that have not 800. There's a couple schools I found out that have like 120 to 300 students.
It's unreal. It's unbelievable that they actually have a basketball court at some of these schools. So I find it comical.
Carver.
Yeah.
All right, for the sake of time, we have one more game here to talk about then, guys. Iowa State versus Mississippi State. And I put -7. Ken Pom says -6, and it's going to be around 140 here. So the reason I'm targeting this game is because I think I'll have a play on it if the spread cooperates with me, guys. Iowa State has had some serious COVID issues, and then they got a second spell of COVID, but they have to play because they can't sit out that long. So they have guys that shouldn't even be playing. The last game against Oklahoma State, they had about 5 or 6 guys out, and their backups actually played really well just from the start. They had Oklahoma State down like 10 points, but Oklahoma State, I was never worried they weren't going to cover that -6.5 or whatever I had. And they did. Oklahoma State ended up blowing them away, and Oklahoma State was without their best players in Cade Cunningham. I mean, I have to assume these 5 or 6 players are still going to be out here against Mississippi State. And the thing I like about Mississippi State, they're desperate. They know they're in the tournament if they can get some wins here. And just beating a Big 12 team at least will help. Losing won't. And I think it's a short enough spread where you can take that shot on Mississippi State. I also have to question Iowa State's motivation here being at 2-8. Yeah, they have no chance of getting in the tournament. Their guys have COVID. Why even show up to this? Mississippi State's one of the lower SEC teams, but I can see a big spot for them for motivation, and they need a non-conference victory here. I mean, the Clones are worse. They're bad. They're worse than the Bulldogs by a good amount. So I'll take the Mississippi State. Probably anything under 10. I'll probably put a decent size on that. I don't know if either of you guys got to look at it. Lee, any thoughts?
I saw the same thing too. I thought the line was going to be 11. So that's what I made the line, and I probably would have taken Mississippi State also. I thought maybe like you had a relative or something. But it's Mississippi State or pass here, and we don't even know how many guys are going to have dressing out. And Miami's in a similar situation, but not with COVID. Something to follow. So I'm down here in Miami, Florida. So they only dressed seven for their last game. One of the seven was a kid named Mac Cross. Was one of them. I think he was the highest recruit that they had coming in the last couple of years. He played the first game or two and got hurt. And he was a potential, I don't know if you'd say superstar, but a potential 4-year starter. And he hurt his shoulder and didn't play as well. Then all of a sudden, he missed a couple games, was back in the lineup, and he was a healthy scratch. He was dressed out. And they played a walk-on against Florida State for like 15-20 minutes. Yeah. And then yesterday the word got released that he was no longer with the program.
I saw that.
So Miami could have some big problems. There's Chris Leitzer 5'5". Well, he listed as 5'5", 5'6". He's about 5'4". Point guard. He's had a sprained ankle for almost 2 months now.
Hey, what's going on with him? I've been wondering if he's coming back. That's been my problem handicapping Miami.
He's traveling with the team the last couple games, but he's not dressing out. I don't know whether he's redshirting. Who knows? There might be a mass exodus, but Miami's got some real problems right now. Jim Larinaga, I really liked. Maybe at 71, he's not one of these guys that I don't think players gravitate towards. And he's not your best friend. He's a coach. He's a mentor. But maybe it's worn off. These kids nowadays, they're just a different player you're dealing with, and I wouldn't be surprised if something happens with Jim Larinaga at the end of the year, and maybe some guys transfer. So right now, take a look at Miami. I certainly would not play on Miami at all the rest of the year.
Well, thank you for that. That's giving us a fade on Miami. I'm going to definitely pay attention to that. Kyle, what are your thoughts on this one?
So first of all, I agree with Miami being a good fade here the rest of the way, even against Wake Forest tomorrow, possibly a chance to go against them there, because Wake Forest hasn't been very good this year, but well coached Steve Forbes, team that I think is going to play hard the whole game. As far as the other game, I could only take Mississippi State. There's no way I'm taking Iowa State. I see an opening line coming out of -9. I think that's a fair price here on Mississippi State. I knew Kiev had to have an angle on this game based on saying Iowa State and Mississippi State. It's not the most exciting game of the weekend, but it still pays the same. So I'm going to agree. So we all at least lean toward Mississippi State in this game.
All right. Well, hopefully that number's a little lower, but you're right. I think the books already know what side the money's going to come on this baby. Maybe get it early, but it makes me feel comfortable that Lee actually had it at 11 here. Well, guys, awesome stuff today. I think we gave a lot of value throughout this show. We got a lot of great opinions, a little bit of disagreement, but mostly agreement through all of this conversation here. I'll start with you, Lee. Where could our viewers find your great information and plays?
Well, just go to the website, ParamountSports.com. And first time ever doing hockey. In the past, did just football and basketball. Ventured into MMA, UFC specifically for the first time ever during the pandemic. One of my employees, former fighter, had fought amateur, trained at Big Gym here in South Florida. He always wanted me to do it. Actually, we did it for a couple fights last year and had success, but no one bought it. And then all of a sudden the pandemic hit, and we started doing it, and it took off. And then by chance I met someone also last year who does hockey and baseball. Tracked him for a year, did amazing. So now for the first time ever, we're doing football, basketball, MMA, hockey, and we're off to a 19-12-2 start, and also baseball start. So we have a 1 week all access pass. They'd like to check it out. Had a great start to basketball and hit a rough stretch for about 3-4 weeks, but we're back on a roll again. 1 week, $97. You get all our basketball, NBA, college, hockey. If you wait to join, let's say on Monday, you get the Super Bowl. So if you want to roll with us, $97 for 1 week. The plays are texted to you. And I'm also on Twitter at Paramount Sports, or you can reach me personally, 800-400-9741.
All right, great stuff. And Kyle, where could our viewers get your great information?
You can go to huntersportspicks.com. All my premium packages are available there. Also, if you want free plays from myself, I have a free picks newsletter there at huntersportspicks.com. I'll also be doing some free plays on Twitter, so follow me at Kyle Hunter Picks on Twitter.
All right, and check us out at theoddsbreakers.com. 3-0 yesterday. Had a bad spell as well, but we're pulling ourselves out of it and finding a lot of value. Hopefully you guys found some value watching this show. Everybody, enjoy the weekend. Remember your ABCs. Always